In this video, I'm going to talk about what 6 years being single taught me. Now, in the sense where it's like, being single since 2020, we all know like the pandemic happened and all that other type of stuff. But realistically, I haven't been remotely the same since. Like, I had to get over like porn addiction. Corn was a very, very detrimental compromiser to my happiness when it comes to actually indulging with women. I've since been able to quit and come back into my nature, but then once I got over like a lustful addiction to objectifying women, I think in the sense where I feel completely incapable of actually having mannerisms to go out my way and trying to get to know somebody. While you look at social media, you see all these different type of implications to try and depict a reason for why you need a consensus into actually messing with a girl. You need to hit up all of these regimens, and you need to hit up all of these ambiguous circumstances that don't come to a agreement. While I since been able to believe that even at the ripe age of 22, I still have a record amount of time to indulge in a certain type of activities that could hold my flesh, I still find it very aggravating that, the progression in the actual finding a true and authentic relationship takes time. I feel like sometimes I'm putting myself at the bottom threshold of actually becoming the ladder and the pedestal of my own compromise. Now, yes, it's worse off than not being in the streets and actually like telling people like, oh, this, that, the third. Like, I can be anything I want. I can have anything I want. I could be whatever I want. But in the sense where everybody feels like the the main or the domination of exactly what we feel is that we need to be with somebody in order to be and live an authentic life. And that's not saying that I've glorified, being single. I just understand right now at a heavy compromise where I'm at, I'm trying to really reconcile with relatable tactics in order to keep my mind at bay. That way I'm not stressing over something that's toxic. I found myself talking to a girl like the other day, and we had a conversation. I kind of caught her when I was drunk. And this had been a past situation that I had in high school. And I called her and I was drunk and I pretty much said, I missed you. Now, if you're watching this video, do not call anybody under the influence. That is very, regardless, my fault. But I'm grown and I make my own life choices. And I'm telling you that this is not something that you should do. I eventually made my rounds with trying to make ends meet, also with trying to move across the goalpost. And we ended up talking. She ended up calling me while she was drunk also, and we had a conversation. She asked me whether I wanted a relationship or whether we should just be cool, and I said we were pretty much chilling. I'm not really expecting anything of you, and you shouldn't really expect anything of me. So as I'm going through the motions and as she's giving me like these little toxic regimens, like, oh, if you're going to talk to me, you got to take me on dates. You have to do that. We have to spend time with each other. And I'm just like, in the end, bro, I'm always putting my mind at bay when it comes to treating myself the way I want to be treated. And I'm since starting to discover that while trying to like get to know somebody, it's a financial game. You're finalizing a realm full of adversarying and getting to know somebody on a basis of financial value. The first thing you want to bring up while we're getting to know each other again is that you want to go on dates. Now, I have taken this girl on a date before, but it's like, man, at a certain type of point, we went on a date before, we knew it didn't work out. So at this certain type of point, we shouldn't even have to do any of that at this point. We should just be trying to talk to each other. Dates come with being a certain type of person in my life that I could hold at a higher degree. And I'm not saying like, oh, I wouldn't have took her on a date, but it's like the way you come at things and the way you ask for certain type of things. It's like, bro, don't ask me for this and that, the third, and you're not showing me a reason to actually consider myself or my equity into your own grace. Now, I love the fact of being single because that gives me the free realm to tell people what I want and to build this wall up for myself that I don't have to collapse and I don't have to confine in. I think, wasting people's time is definitely a wrong correlation, and I'm starting to realize that over time. Like, as an individual, I'm starting to realize like, oh, I can't waste a lot of people's time when actually trying to get to know them, because that would be a terrible point of view. But I do understand that right now it's very hard for me to kind of come into terms of like, oh, I want a relationship with this girl because it's so completing and it can be so fleeting. And yeah, that's the problem. That's the issue. I have idealistic values and pronunciations on what a true relationship is. I'm never going to put a title or a boyfriend and girlfriend title on something that I know will not last. I think once you put a boyfriend and girlfriend title on something, that is your realm to marriage. Once that point is put across the threshold, because any type of situation could be a situationship, and that's a horrible definition of just like actually progressing and trying to get to know somebody. We have these regimens where it's like, hey, 8 months, or not 8 months, that's crazy, but 1 month of talking means that we're in a relationship, or the cusp, or the cutoff from actually becoming a relationship is that if it's over 3 months, it's no longer a point where we're looking for a relationship. We're just prolonging a talking stage, which is like there should be no set time in trying to get to know somebody. I feel like you should just feel it and know when it's time to ask that certain type of person to be your partner. And this can go for both ways. A girl can ask for a person to be their boyfriend, and a man can ask for a person to be their girlfriend. When do we have these general, and I'll probably make a video on this later, but when do we have these general rationalizations for people asking people on a date, or people doing that, or wish the third? But in the end, where I'm piggybacking off of how I feel about a certain type of subject, it is definitely going into the wilderness, trying to hunt, because men aren't viewed as predators. You know what I'm saying? We go out and we get the women, and women are substantial to come to us as we fit into our game, or how we indulge ourselves into actually trying to get to know them, which is completely fine. I just have a way of understanding that these things are going to come at the price of like actually dwelling into my appearance. And it's not like, I could feel insecure and I'm like, oh, I'm super chopped, I can't get women, and that would be a lie. I think I'm just tired of the chasing narratives. And I think a lot of the statistics that's going around right now is that a lot of men are starting to discover themselves and starting to actually indulge with the fact that chasing is a humiliation ritual. It's something that is making us consume the idea of getting on our knees and begging for certain type of qualities out of somebody that we want from ourselves. But all that takes is a little bit of shadow work and self-indulgence, and we'll begin to actually discover what our true nature is on this earth that God put us in. And if you don't believe in God, as always, what is your true nature? That as a man, what are we supposed to be set on this earth for? What is our purpose? And I was just watching this podcast, and it was talking about like how much creativity is denounced once we don't follow our intuition to follow a certain type of progress in time. And that might come at that might come at the expense of us being single for a little bit amount of time, and whether that be 6 years, 10 years, 15 years. The part of grieving and actually learning from our past mistakes in order to make a healthy relationship flourish, and for people to see that it takes time and it's not a rushing game. These things are going to be because we've learned and we've actually indulged in the things that we wanted to beforehand. so much of our time is being placed on worrying about loneliness, worrying about whether this, that, the third, having certain type of qualities about ourselves and quantities in the mass of production of having other options and being optimistic and open-minded about certain type of ways of learning. But in the end, we're all just trying to be better for ourselves, and it shouldn't come at a price of our own mental health in order to try to get to know somebody, not for no financial gain or not for no reason in order to sacrifice our flesh or objectify certain type of people in any certain type of way. Those are my really valid opinions on being single for 6 years. Has it been a rocky road? Yeah. Has it came with a lot of complications? It's came with more relationship problems when it has with titles. But I can say for a fact that it hasn't been to a point where I couldn't get myself out of that situation, or, I've shed tears on certain type of situations, or I've felt embarrassed based off of the people that I've messed with, or but these are experiences, and none of these people have hatred, or I have hatred towards none of these people, because they were all stepping stones for the purpose of my next partner. And hopefully with that person, we last for years, and while I see everybody getting in relationship after relationship, I can see myself actually being in that energy of like, man, like I've began to love myself by taking myself on dates, going to the movies on my own, and actually realizing that I don't have to be in a certain type of point or a period and under the understand that a person might come in my life out of thin air, and falling in love with that unknown purpose of a person actually flourishing and fulfilling a void in my heart that sense is to I believe in, then I don't have a reason to force a connection with anybody if it's not something out of my own demand and something of my own reasoning, because a cause and effect is a reciprocate, and I cannot hold myself at a degree where I feel like it's futile. And that's my little rebuttal on being single for 6 years. Hope y'all been enjoying the video. Y'all liked the last video on me talking about really much my circumstances. I'm, like I said, post 3 times a week. So look for videos coming back to back. Hope y'all enjoyed. Stay blessed. Stay, safe out here. Know that, hey, there's times right now where it may seem difficult, but you're the only one that understands your own circumstance. Follow your gut. Make creativity. Create. Be innovative, and understand that people will see your work and begin to dissolve themselves into your own environment. And I'll see y'all in the next video.